She worked at a small donut shop. She was a counter server. No overtime, very few days off, no recognition. Year after year, working crazy hours. She felt invisible, like she didn't matter. She looked me in the eye, and I could tell it wasn't enough. Just thinking about it, that reminds me of why I've done this for 31 years. It made history in her life. It made a difference in her life. Sometimes justice looks like a woman walking out of a donut shop with her dignity fully intact and her head held up high.
Welcome to the Verdict Signal podcast, where we feature how top attorneys help people make informed choices, avoid common mistakes, and move forward with confidence. Now, enjoy the show, and here's your host.
Daniel Gao, I'm the host of Verdict Signal, and today we're expanding our conversations to the experts who protect what people build, their careers, families, and businesses. I have David Mallen, a powerhouse in the legal community and the managing attorney of Employee Law Group. With over 34 years of experience specializing in California labor and employment law, David Mallen has dedicated his career to protecting employee rights, successfully recovering tens of millions of dollars for thousands of workers across the state. A recognized leader in his field, David has been selected as a Southern California super lawyer for nearly 2 decades and holds the prestigious AV rating from Martindale-Hubbell, the highest mark of professional excellence and ethics. His track record includes dozens of trials and a commitment to high-impact litigation involving workplace discrimination, wrongful termination, and wage disputes. Beyond the courtroom, David is known for his hands-on personal approach to advocacy and is a frequent speaker at conferences on employee rights and workplace justice. So David, welcome and glad to have you here.
Daniel, thank you. It's good to see you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm actually working from my home office on the big island of Hawaii. So awesome. The technology may be a little bit wonky, but I'm really happy to be here. And aloha to you.
All good, all good. So let's start at the very top level, David. How did you first get interested in the legal field?
Well, I wanted to be a sports agent. Sports were big in my family and in my life. I had opportunities to play baseball in school. And I thought, how can I combine my love of sports with a career? And everybody said, oh, you'd be a great sports agent. So I went to law school to become a sports agent. I studied labor and employment law. And that also fit within my background. I grew up in a steel mill town in Youngstown, Ohio, very blue collar. I worked in factories, restaurants. I understood the heart and mind of the working man. So studying labor and employment law was very, very close to my heart and a great opportunity for me to grow professionally.
Okay. Now, when it comes to this type of law, like what's one thing you wish more people understood about working with an attorney?
Oh, great question. Well, some lawyers like myself have a heart-centered practice. We lead from the heart. And so calling a lawyer shouldn't have to be scary or stressful all the time. I know it is, but once you really get to know your lawyer, it's not all about courtroom drama or complicated legalese. In reality, it can be a really empowering and a healing process, Daniel. And so I see myself as an advocate, yes, but also a guide for you, the client. It's not just about getting the money and the legal outcome. It's about me helping you navigate one of the most vulnerable areas of your life with dignity. Because, as we all know, work is personal. It's tied to our identity, our sense of safety, our ability to provide for families. And so when something happens in the workplace, man, it hits deep. So I approach my clients not just with my experience and strategy. I'm always thinking like a chess player, but with empathy, right? My job is to listen, really listen to you, Daniel, and to clarify what's going on, translate it into a legal framework, and then walk with you at every step. So I want you to feel stronger and empowered after speaking with me and after retaining my law firm to help you through your workplace situation. So we hold the line while you catch your breath, right? And we remind you you're not alone. And maybe we'll share a few laughs along the way because I like to keep things light. Even in the heavy moments, there can be relief, humor, sometimes moments of real connection. So that's what I wish more people knew, that your lawyer is going to be your best friend and help you with heart as you navigate these workplace issues.
Got it. Okay. Now, what would you say are some of the most common situations of when people come to you? Like, what are they going through? Some of those most common situations are what people are going through by the time they call you.
The most common situations that people call?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, most people call because they're in pain. They're really feeling it. In answer to your question, I mean, employment law covers a wide spectrum of issues: harassment, retaliation, wage theft, discrimination. Oh my gosh, so many issues: being passed over unfairly, being paid less than your coworker for the same type of work, even an unsafe work environment. You don't have to be fired to reach out to an employment lawyer, Daniel. And you don't have to be in crisis to reach out. So usually when you're at work, your body knows something's wrong. It's like the little things that you feel, and then your mind catches up, and instead of saying, well, maybe it's just me, maybe that's the time to call a lawyer, and an experienced employment lawyer, and get a reality check about what's going on at work to see if maybe we can help you strategize. So that's the basic overview. My cases range from helping a blue collar worker like a janitor recover wages to a C-suite executive, as a CEO or a CFO recover millions in wages and bonuses that they were cheated. Regardless of where you are in the workplace, we all have those same emotions when we're not treated right at work. So it's my privilege to talk to so many people every week. They bring incredible stories of courage and hurt about what's happening in the workplace. So if you want to look at the specific things we do, you can go on my website, employeelawgroup.com. Okay. And that will give you a better overview of like the 20 areas that we cover.
Okay. Now, what would you say is when you're talking, you talk to a lot of people every single day, what would you say some of the most common misconceptions or myths that they believe when it comes to employment law?
Oh, that's a great question. One big misconception is that you can only call a lawyer if you've been fired, or that unless there's some like dramatic event, it's not serious enough. Yeah, like I said, you don't have to be in crisis to reach out, and you shouldn't wait till a crisis. You should call. You should talk to someone beforehand, even if it's just a friend or a counselor. I'd say another misconception: some people think they have to have everything proven, like they want to be their own lawyer, or they want to be a Google lawyer and try to prove everything before they call. But the truth is, and the better practice is, it's my job to help you make sense of what you've experienced. If something feels off, if your gut is telling you that something's not right, that's worth paying attention to. So you don't need to have all the answers before you call an employment lawyer like me. You just need to start the conversation. That's two. Another misconception, I'd say, Daniel, some people who are still employed are worried that, speaking up means they'll be seen as difficult or burning bridges. And while that may be true, if you stand up for your rights respectfully, professionally, it's not about being difficult. It's about you drawing the line, and you saying my well-being matters, my voice matters. And when you do it with the right support, with a lawyer helping you behind the scenes, it's really a powerful act of self-respect that you gain, whether you ever file a lawsuit or not. So a good employment lawyer will help you navigate, even if you haven't been fired or suffered a serious loss. Will help you almost play chess with the employer and think a few moves ahead.
Mhm. Okay, and with that in mind, as far as being able to think a few steps ahead, what are some of the biggest mistakes people make before they call you?
Biggest mistakes. I'd say one mistake is waiting too long. That would be the big one. People often wait until things are really bad or until they're completely overwhelmed or emotionally drained and unhealthy. They're just depleted, or even they're out of a job. And I get it. It's scary to involve a lawyer, but the earlier you reach out, the more options you have. So think of it like trying to rebuild a house after the tornado is hit versus reinforcing it when you first see the cracks. That's what you want to do if you're having problems at work. You don't want to wait till the tornado comes.
Yeah.
Another mistake I see is not documenting things. Why document? There's a couple of reasons. Number one, if we go to trial, which is rare, juries say they like to see documents. They like to see stuff on paper. It gives jurors an anchor to match their feelings that what happened to you, the employee, was wrong. So some people may assume, well, my word is enough. And maybe it is, but we prefer cases where the employee has kept records. If they don't keep records, no emails, no notes, nothing written down, we can still help them oftentimes, but the paper trail makes a difference, and it verifies the story that our clients will tell. So yeah, being strategic in how you go about it is important. Another big mistake people make, I think that because there's this stigma of making a fuss with lawyers, they're reluctant to call. They're like, maybe I'm overreacting, or I don't want to be dramatic, or I don't like lawyers and want to make a big fuss. But just because things happen at work may be subtle, it doesn't mean your feelings are not valid. So I'd say listen to your gut, and don't downplay it, because we have our own gut feelings, and that's wisdom. So yeah, the bottom line is, if something feels wrong, don't wait for it to turn into a disaster. Call a lawyer who can listen with legal clarity and compassion, and that's what we're here for. I like helping people. That's why I got in this profession 31 years ago.
Okay, so we talked about the mistake. So on the flip side of that, if someone is dealing with any myriad of the situations that you kind of talked about, maybe they've been passed over for a promotion, maybe they are being discriminated against, maybe they're about to be fired for undue cause, kind of no matter what the situation is, what are some of the few smart steps they can take right now? You kind of talked about documenting, you talked about not waiting. What are some other kind of smart first steps that they can take?
First, like, pause and pay attention. If something feels off at work, maybe it's a comment that crosses the line, or a shift in how you're being treated, or you're being excluded from meetings, or you feel like you're being pushed out. So don't ignore that. That's a smart step, to just listen to what's happening and pay attention. We talked about documenting, say emails, texts, anything that can help build a picture later. Even a little journal entry in your phone on the fly can become powerful evidence down the line. So document, document, document. We talked about briefly, don't go it alone. That's a smart step. And what does that mean? It might mean talking to a trusted friend. It doesn't have to be you call a lawyer right away. It might be you find a therapist, a family therapist who understands the dynamics of the workplace, right? That can help you make sense and even document the emotions that you're suffering because of what's happening at work. And that can also be powerful evidence down the line as well, having a therapeutic effect to help you get through the workday. Or a therapist might say, Daniel, you need a break from work. Right now, it's just too toxic. I'm going to give you like a few weeks off or a month off so you could gather your strength and your spirit and kind of reflect on what's been happening, because it's really damaging your peace of mind. So getting perspective on your situation through all your support people, not just lawyers, but friends and professionals, that can be incredibly grounding and empowering, right? So you want people in your corner who can help you navigate this situation. It's hard to go it alone. What other steps you can take? I'm big on breathing. I know it sounds woo-woo. It's, you talk about yoga and meditation, but employment issues hit close to home, right? They affect your livelihood, your confidence, your peace of mind. So give yourself grace when these things are happening. You're not overreacting. You're responding to something real. So, getting back in touch and slowing things down and just paying attention to your breath to let your mind relax a little bit. I mean, it's a small but powerful step when you're going through the stress of, workplace challenges and illegal actions that you're suffering.
Okay. So let's say then, David, someone's going through this situation. They want to reach out to a lawyer, but they don't know which lawyer to choose. What advice would you give to this person as they're doing their search so they can find a lawyer that has the experience, has the knowledge, and is just going to be a really good fit for that person?
Well, that's a really interesting question. If it were me, I would seek out the best trial lawyer that I could find first, because a great trial lawyer can maximize the value of your case, even in settlement. And why is that? It's because, our colleagues, our good colleagues on the management side, they know that some great trial lawyers have the ability to move jurors' emotions and present the facts in a most compelling way that allows for large verdicts for people who have been wronged in the workplace. So that would be my first step. Then reality check. Not every case qualifies for representation by a top trial lawyer. So if they're saying, thanks, but no thanks, we're not interested, but we think maybe you have a decent case, I would go with someone with a lot of experience. I don't want to put a number on it because some of my junior colleagues are just amazing. They come out of law school, they hit the ground running, they have an amazing skill set, they have presence. So on balance, I'd say go with a lawyer who's done some trials and has at least 5 to 10 years experience.
Okay.
There's some smaller wage cases where maybe you're owed a few $1,000s that any lawyer who's competent can handle that. You don't need a top lawyer for a case where your employer owes you a few grand. So it really depends on the context. But what you'll find when you call lawyers is a lot of lawyers like me have their niche, right? They don't practice every employment case under the sun. But even if I don't know that area as well as I would like, I'll know the right person to refer. So calling an experienced lawyer will get you to the right lawyer faster. You can also go online. There's a website called California Employment Lawyers Association. That's CELA, C as in Charlie, ELA.org. And they have lawyers by subject matter expertise. What else? People who call me say they look at my reviews as well as my experience. You know, they want a lawyer with empathy who's really going to listen. Because as lawyers, we're selling not only applied legal knowledge, but we're also selling you peace of mind in a sense, knowing that we have your back and we can get you the result that feels like justice to you. So bottom line, whatever lawyer you hire, make sure early on that your lawyer's strategy and goals are aligned with your goals, because every client is different. I'll ask clients, Daniel, I'm like, what feels like justice to you in this context? What allows you to move forward in life with dignity and respect in a sense that, you know, you've defended your rights? And the answer is different for every client. So be sure you align with your lawyer. And if the lawyer is not understanding or the lawyer disagrees with your vision of success, then maybe it's time to shop around a little bit.
Okay, good to know. Now, when it comes to expectations, how do you set expectations so that your clients feel informed and supported throughout the entire process?
Oh, that's super important. So we set expectations once we have the full story from our client, and we look at the documents. We even cross-examine them a little bit to test, to reality check them and make sure what they're saying has the ring of truth and sounds credible. So once we do that, we like to engage the employer early on before filing a lawsuit, and then get the employer's side of the story. I mean, I can set general expectations, Daniel, about, okay, it's going to take a week to get a demand letter out. It's going to take them 30 days to respond. I can tell you in my experience, most employers and their lawyers don't throw my letter in the trash. They respond because I'm an experienced lawyer. We have a brand, and we mean business. But as far as how much is the case worth, we like to hear from the employer first. And then we ask the client, okay, Mr. Client, do you wish to maximize your case? If so, the best thing we can do is start preparing for trial right away and actually plan on going to trial. Because if you look at statistics and game theory, Daniel, the best outcomes statistically involve going to trial and winning. But not all clients want that. In fact, in my experience in 31 years, most clients do not want to spend a year or two in a case and go to trial. They'd rather settle, have certainty, reduce anxiety in their lives, and just move forward in peace. So I tell clients, if you want to settle before a lawsuit, we're going to leave money on the table. But that's often a healthy choice for you because you're minimizing your risk and your emotional investment and the anxiety that you have to, and the work that you have to put into helping us build your case, right? Some people are just not cut out for that. They don't want that kind of stress in their lives. So if that's the case, I help them set expectations for how much we might be able to demand and receive in a pre-lawsuit settlement. And then we ask them to pick a high number, a medium number, and a low number, because it's not an exact science, right? There's just a range, and we don't know how the employers are going to respond. We don't know if there's an insurance company involved paying the tote. So all these factors, we experienced lawyers, we come up with a pretty good value of what we think we can get in a settlement. Then if we can't settle, either by direct negotiations with the employer's lawyer or through a third party mediator who's like a settlement broker, then we work with the trial lawyer right away, and together we tell the client what to expect once the lawsuit is filed. So bottom line, we're with you at every step. We demystify the process every step so that you're not afraid and you can make informed, healthy choices about what works best for you.
Good
So
to know.
I work for you. Never forget that, clients. Lawyers work for you. The lawyer can recommend, but you ultimately have to decide what is best for you in that situation.
Okay.
And we'll help you get there.
Got it. So now, David, throughout your long career, I'm sure that you've had some memorable cases or challenging cases, tough cases. Is there maybe one story that kind of comes to mind that you can share of one of those cases and how you were able to get them a successful outcome in the end?
Well, what stands out to me from all my experiences? Oh, man. I've had thousands of cases and probably helped, I don't know, tens of thousands of people over the years. And it's true, I've worked on some multi-million-dollar settlements, some high-profile cases that were on 60 Minutes and in the news. Those were interesting and exciting, right, as a young lawyer. Even represented clients who have gone up against some big-name celebrities and powerful employers that I can't mention. And there's a thrill in going toe-to-toe with those kind of giants, right? I like it. If I believe in my client in the case, there's nothing that can stop us. We'll go up against any employer, any law firm. The cases that stay with me are the ones that move the heart, where I had a professional, or not just a professional relationship, but really a good connection with the client, and we got a great outcome. Let me try to think of one. Okay. This is going way back, Daniel, probably over 20 years ago, but I'll never forget this young woman. She worked at a small donut shop. She was a counter server. And behind the scenes, she was also working as the shop owner's maid and personal assistant. In other words, night and day, she was at the beck and call of this very wealthy woman who had more than one restaurant and donut shop. So day in, day out for years, no overtime, very few days off, no recognition. When she came to us, she wasn't just exhausted. You can imagine, right? Year after year, working crazy hours. She felt invisible, like she didn't matter. And obviously, I can't tell you exactly what we discussed or mention names, because that's always privileged forever. But what I want you to know about this story is that my legal team and I fought tooth and nail against a very well-known big defense firm. And that's how I knew that the employer had money, because she hired a big firm that charged a lot of money. And I think I remember after litigating for a while, we did a settlement conference, and I think we worked out a deal where the client would have pocketed close to 100,000, which, would have been life-changing for her. And that's after lawyer fees.
Mm.
So I thought, hey, this is a good deal, but it wasn't enough. She looked me in the eye, and I could tell it wasn't enough. And I can't tell you what she said, but the gist was, I worked too hard for too long to be shortchanged again. And I believe in God, and God knows I worked those hours I claimed. So I'm like, wow. Something cracked open in me. And, that kind of courage and self-respect and that toughness and unwillingness to settle for what she knew she was owed. Man, just thinking about it, that reminds me of why I've done this for 31 years. So yeah, we pushed, we didn't back down. And you know what? The defense paid every single penny we demanded, every wrong acknowledged. And the case didn't make headlines. Don't talk about it much, but it made history in her life. It made a difference in her life. And it reminded me justice isn't always flashy, right? Sometimes justice looks like a woman walking out of a donut shop with her dignity fully intact and her head held up high. And that's
a beautiful story.
That's the kind of law that I believe in, man.
That's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And I think really what law should be about is about helping people.
Yeah, exactly.
The perception that people have of law and lawyers, I mean, this is really what it's about. It's the heartfelt part of it.
So. Yeah. And, the other crazy thing is the law is tricky. Sometimes it's a gamble. The cases, I think we should win hands down. Sometimes we don't get everything that we expected, or we get nothing at all. So there's always that risk of justice, where maybe you don't get a judge who sympathizes with your client, or maybe you don't get the jury who understands your story. There's that element of risk involved. So, yeah, there's a little bit of gambler in lawyers like me who do what we do. But usually we bet right.
Yeah. Okay. So then, David, where do you think the future of employment law is going? Like, are there any changes people should really kind of pay attention to?
Wow. Well, California has always been one of the most protective states of employee rights. And there's new laws passed every year that further protect employee rights. I think that with everything being computerized, lawyers like me are going to have to continue to work super hard and hire experts to not just believe the stories that the employers are telling us. They say, here are the documents, but to dig in to the raw data and the metadata and the little electronic fingerprints that data leaves behind, instead of just trusting the pieces of paper, right? I mean, we're doing that already, but I think it's becoming increasingly important for lawyers to align with forensic experts who understand how to get data and how to get it in the right form. Sometimes employers make mistakes, and when they're called out, they fix it and they pay, and they don't do it again. But there's some employers who, put profits over people and put profits over law. So employment lawyers are always going to be around for that reason. We're not going away. You know, the day that employers stop being greedy and trying to take advantage is the day that, you know, you won't need employment lawyers very much. But I don't see that changing anytime soon, not in my experience. I hope so. You know, I hope you know, people become more collaborative in the workplace. And don't get me wrong, I think employers have made great strides in 30 years in terms of training and best practices. When I was starting out, employers made horrible mistakes, and we would call them out and make them pay and make them fix it. Now I think there's an awareness that they really need to pay attention to ensuring an equal opportunity workplace and treating people with a little bit of compassion, not just working them to death. So,
okay. So
I don't know if that's a good answer. I
a
think
great
I want to do over on that one.
it's a great answer. It's a great answer. I mean, it's true. It's like that's like that's the situation that we're in, and that's why there's a need for what you provide, and just people need to be aware of that. And it's like, hey, they're not the only one out there. There's lots of other people that's going through the same struggles they are. So they seem to kind of take or have the courage to reach out to someone like yourself and get that help that they need. So, but David, I do have one last question for you. But before I ask it, I do want to point people to your website at employeelawgroup.com. Now, last question for you. What does peace of mind mean to you?
What does peace of mind mean to me? Wow. Peace of mind for me means showing up on many levels for the people I care about, including my clients and including the people who are calling looking for legal advice. I'm a giver, you know, and I'm a people pleaser. So when I can ground myself through exercise and you know, yoga, meditation, and go inside and feel grounded and comfortable in myself, then I can share that with you and the people in my life and the people who call. And so giving back with like compassion and loving kindness, that gives me a sense of peace, like I'm serving a higher good and not just thinking about, you know, my own personal needs. That brings me a lot of peace of mind. Yeah, giving righteously, even treating my opponents and adversaries with dignity and respect, recognizing that we're all part of this bigger story, right? It's not just about me. It's not just about my client, but everyone in employment law has a role to play. And if everyone plays their role well, then usually justice can be done. It's just unfolds naturally. So I guess understanding my role and doing my part in this big process, even when the outcomes don't match the effort, that's enough. Just doing my best, serving my highest goods for my clients. I have peace with that, no matter what the outcome.
Well, there you have it. David sharing his expertise. So David, where can people contact you in your practice?
People can go to our website. They could text us through the website, employeelawgroup.com. People can call me at area code 310-606-0065. If it's an emergency and you really need to reach me, you can call my cell phone, area code 310-895-0107, or email me, david@employeelawgroup.com.
Awesome. Well, David, this was amazing. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and helping to demystify this for people.
It's a pleasure. I like talking about work, and it's been great. And this is probably the only time I'll wear a suit in my home office in Hawaii. So thank you for motivating me to be here and to show up and to give back to the California employment community.
Thanks for listening to the Verdict Signal podcast. Any questions? Please contact the practice directly with the contact information provided during the show. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.